5 miles later, I felt like a normal person again. A dripping with sweat person, but a normal one. After a shower, I would even be capable of carrying on a conversation with my new employer. This summer, I'd be working for one of my favorite writers, Grace Campbell. The whole thing had happened totally at random. I tweeted to her one night that I loved her latest book and how it had made me look forward to my Harborville summer. She must have read my profile line, in which I described myself as a writer. Even though I hadn't published anything, of course, I just wrote stories for fun. She'd messaged me to ask where I stayed in Harborville. I told her and mentioned that I'd be looking for a summer job. In my craziest dreams, I hoped that she'd offer something, but I was still shocked when she asked if I wanted to assist her with a few projects over the next few months. I'd really thought it was a joke or a prank, but we'd messaged back and forth, and it had all proven real. I was supposed to meet her at Clark's Coffee, a local spot in the bottom story of a house about a mile from Morning Beach. Even though our car was in the driveway, I decided to take a bike. The little garage next to the house held a handful of beach cruisers. My turquoise one must have been kept in shape by renters over the years, because the tires had plenty of air, and it wasn't covered in cobwebs like some of the stuff in the garage. My mom and dad's bikes, a yellow and a red, leaned against one another in a far corner. The bright, cheery spot of yellow brought a pain to my chest. Clark's Coffee wasn't somewhere I'd gone often when I was younger, but it was a favorite of my mom's. Some of her paintings and charcoals were even framed behind the diner's counter. She'd always claimed Clark's blueberry scone replenished the artistic brain. Then she'd chide herself for saying something so pretentious. The corner booth where Grace Campbell told me to meet her was empty, just like she promised it would be. I let the waitress fill my mug with coffee, even though I was too nervous to drink it, and I ordered a fruit plate, even though I had butterflies in my stomach. Then I pulled my moleskin out of my purse, flipping through the notes and story ideas I'd recorded there, hoping to look like a real writer. There were a lot of ideas, but nothing I was in love with. I'd heard the advice to write what I knew, but I didn't want to write about a girl whose mom had died, and beyond that, not much had happened to me yet. I went to a suburban high school, ran cross country, and made the honor roll, hardly the stuff of great stories. So my ideas were always about things that didn't happen to anyone, at least that I knew of. I jotted notes for a short story about a cartographer who learned there was nothing left to map. I had another idea for a novel about a world where people were literally born without a reckless bone in their bodies. But everything I thought to do seemed so crazily different from the idea before it that I never could quite commit to any of them, often starting them, but unable to finish. I thought maybe working for Grace would help me figure out what kind of writer I'd be, or at least inspire me to be all the different ones I was. A minute later, Clark himself came over to the table, setting down a fruit plate. "Are you Kate Sommers?" "Yep, that's me." I was surprised he knew me, since I'd only come here a few times with my mom. But he had those eyes that softened at the corners when he looked at you, like he was a man who remembered every last customer forever and ever. There might have been a story in that. "Grace left you this," he said, handing me a napkin, folded, and with my name scrawled across it. "Was your mom Lainey Sommers?" "Yeah." "Great lady. We've missed her here. Your food's on the house." He nodded at the napkin with a small, apologetic smile. I unfolded the napkin. On it, in nearly indecipherable scribble, were the words, "Headed to NYC, job off, so sorry, have lovely summer, XOGR. Clark shook his head. "She breezed in here this morning on her way out of town and told me you'd be coming." "I know it probably seems harsh, but that she remembered to tell you at all is something for Grace. She's brilliant."